All right, if you just received a 1099K form from Poshmark, from Etsy, from eBay, you're not sure what to do with it, or you're kind of questioning the numbers, in this video I'm going to walk you through what you need to do. And most likely you're not going to need to ask for an amended 1099K, but I'm going to show you how to report that on your tax return, because most likely the 1099K that you received is gross, but there's a lot of expenses that you've incurred in selling those products on those platforms that you should take advantage of. So any questions, leave them in the comments below. Thanks again for watching. Okay, so you received a 1099K, whether it's from Etsy, from Shopify, from Poshmark. I've been getting a lot of comments from people getting from 1099Ks from Poshmark. So the form's going to look like this, right? So you're going to have your name somewhere. You're going to have the company that's issuing it, right, to you. Then it's got the amounts that you earn for every month. And then there's this gross amount of payments, right? But you've incurred expenses, right, of selling these products. And that's not reflected in this 1099K. So if you're, most likely a lot of people here, they kind of have like a side business, right? It's not, you got to make sure it's not a hobby. You got to make sure that you're selling these items for a profit and you're actually kind of running a business. So when you get this form, what you want to do is, you want to go to Schedule C. Okay. And I'm going to show you what Schedule C is. So here's Schedule C. And this is where, when you're running a profit or loss business and you're a single member LLC or you're a sole proprietor, this is where you kind of report everything. So here you got gross receipts. Okay. And that's where you're going to put that gross amount from the 1099K right here. Okay. Then you can see here, there's places to add expenses, right? So advertising. But you can see there's a limited number of line items here, or office expense. Then you see this item here called other expenses. Other expenses, you can put a bunch of different things, right? Software expenses, merchant fees. So depending on what that 1099K shows you, if that 1099K shows you like the gross amount, but you maybe didn't receive that amount, there's probably like merchant fees that's included there. So this is where you're going to put your expenses, and then you can see here, you got your revenue less your expenses equals your total profit. And the total profit then is going to flow down to page 1 of your 1040, so of your tax return here. And it's going to show as additional income right here. So that's where you're going to report your expenses. Okay, so remember, you got your profit loss. Okay. And again, this assumes that these aren't like one-off items, right? So this is not assuming that you have some product that you sold on Etsy, just one product only. You made $1,000. You received a 1099K. Now what are you going to do with this? This is if you're, consistently selling, you're actually running a business for profit, and you're incurring expenses. Now, what I do recommend is, if you're going to continue doing this, selling on Poshmark, Etsy, all these other platforms, is that you set up a separate business bank account. You open up like an account, use an accounting software like QuickBooks or Xero, spelled Xero, or there's a free one out there called Wave Apps. And then you kind of connect your business bank account to those accounting platforms, and then it will generate this profit loss for you. And the revenue that you're selling on there, that's going to be reflected on your accounting software, should match to what the 1099K shows. So, and then there's another question I got was, someone received a 1099K. It was for $1,500, which is below the threshold for 2024. And they're asking is, do they need to report that on their tax return? And the answer is yes. So that 1099K, when Etsy or Poshmark, when they file it, you get a copy and the IRS gets a copy. So the IRS has a copy. So the IRS is expecting to see $1,500 on your tax return. And Now, there might be expenses connected with that, but they want to see that gross income, that you're reporting that gross income. So the answer is yes, you got to report that. I think a lot of people are thinking that, oh, the threshold is $5,000 for 2024 for 1099Ks, but I still got one. Do I need to report it? And the answer is yes, you still got to report it because, like I said, the IRS has a copy. And when you file your tax return and they don't see that $1,500 or $3,000 or even $4,000 on your tax return, they're going to question it. You're going to get a letter from the IRS, and depending on what the amount is, they're going to adjust your tax return, or kind of do like a mini audit. So you got to report this income. So if you have any questions on this, let me know. But the takeaway here is, most likely if you're running a business, you're consistent with this business, you're running this business for profit, you got expenses, right? You got software expenses. If you're working from home, you got your home office that you're working from. All these items you can use as a potential deduction on your Schedule C. So you're going to report your gross income here, or your gross sales here, and then you're going to show your expenses here, which is going to show a net profit, and that's what you're eventually going to pay tax on. Thanks again for watching.